As you may know, I have dabbled a little bit into solo RPGs, and so I have been sent Goblin. This is part of Misbehave, which is going to be a Kickstarter in March of 2026, along with two other adventures. It's going to come in a slipcase. I can't wait to see those because the production value of this is very, very good. And I had a lot of fun looking through this and playing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this to you over here on the green table. We're going to go through the rules. I'll show you a lot of the art and give you all the information I can about it. So let's go take a look at it. All right, here's Goblin, a solo RPG about a goblin's life. I found my worst looking D6 that I think is fairly goblinish, and I'll be using that. I'm not going to be playing the game, but I'm going to show you how some stuff works with it. I was also sent this map of the Goblin Village, which I think is very nice, and it's got some really cool art on it. And yeah, it's got some character sheets as well. Very easy to understand. Crown fragments, things you're going to be looking for to kind of be victorious in the game. There's some advancement of your character here. Inventory, health, teeth is like money, and then your stats are right there, which I will explain. So very cool. I dig that a lot. It does have very nice production value, even for it just being a prototype, like it says here. There's some cool, like kind of glossy sections, like the top of this hat right here of this gnome and this window. I really dig that a lot. It says that it's created. I'm gonna try the name. Apologies if I butcher it. Wojciech Rosinski, I think the name is. And if we turn it on the back, we got this cool Goblin King right here. Early version for review purposes only, designed by Wojciech Rosinski. Layout and illustrations, Jacek Kuzimski. So I might have botched that. So Misbehave, and coming soon to Kickstarter. So it feels good. It's got a good feel to it. And let's talk a little bit more about what this is all about. So it's a fantasy adventure where you are the monster, sort of. It says that it's a collection of 3 standalone solo RPGs, and each are presented in a short book, like this one right here. But this time, you're not the hero. You're the guy on the wrong end of the sword. Each game features a unique setting, game mechanics, and a distinct character for you to play. There's no prep, no scheduling, no game master. Just grab your dice, roll a character, and jump straight into the wilds, ready to misbehave. So it says you are an adventurer's XP. I think that's funny. Zero prep principle. Game master is only optional. Quick punchy sessions. Everyone is welcome, even if you're new or you're a veteran of role-playing games. And then you've got pick your poison, it says. This one, Goblin, is a hex crawl exploration. There's also going to be Kobold Squad, which is a point crawl delving quest. And then there's The Guard, a ruthless urban adventure. It does say it's going to be in a slipcase. It'd be nice to see how that looks. So there, let's put that aside. And again, I'll have a link to the early view of what you can see that's going to be on the Kickstarter, so you can see more about these things. And it's neat that this is already going to be made, and they're making it before it's going to be launching, so that's going to be really helpful. And let's take a look at it. So again, I think that the art is really good. It's whimsical, it's fun, it's it's having fun with what it's doing, and I think it's the right way to go. And it's good, just overall, I think it's really good. Especially, I love this hex crawl, the way it looks. So it says, since the dawn of time, goblins have lived happily in the Goblin Woods. That's right here. They ate whatever they pleased, bathed in the swamp, and thrived under the watchful eye of the Goblin King. Upon his brow sat the greatest of all goblin hats, the crown of the Goblin King. But one sickly sunny day, vicious gnomes right here, they swarmed the woods, and in a great battle, the king fell. The crown shattered into 7 fragments scattered across the wood's depths. Still, a legend murmured by the matrons foretells a valiant goblin who shall one day unite the shards, banish the gnomes, and restore joy to the woods. Are you that goblin? So the central hex is the Goblin Village. We've got the gnomish village here. You've got the road. Here's the wizard's tower, the swamp, the witch's hut. There's a battlefield here, and all other hexes are the woods. And this is the cave. So it's very, very easy to see, and like I said, I think the art is spot on for that hex crawl. So then it's going to tell you how to play. And of course, it's very, very easy. You're a goblin. You can see in the dark. You begin the game in the Goblin Village, so right in the middle, right there. And it says you begin with a stabber and a mouthful of 10 plus 2d6 teeth. Don't spend them all at once. You'll need at least 1 to eat. I think that's funny. Goblins are not picky, so you can eat anything, even remotely edible, to recover a whopping 1 hit point. Very cool. So you're going to determine your attributes. Roll d6 for each. So you've got stabbiness, sneakiness, and spelliness. A roll of 1 to 2 means -1. So I did a 3, so that means 0, and 5 to 6 is +1. So obviously keeping those numbers quite shallow. These results become your attributes. If you find this method too random, you can of course distribute some. It says whenever the text specifies an attribute and a number, roll a d6 and add your attribute value to the result. If the total equals or exceeds the target number, your goblin succeeds. It's fairly easy. You're just rolling, equal, exceeds, add your modifier, beating a number. Done. Combat is always a stabbiness test. The enemy's strength is the target number you need to meet or beat. If you succeed, you deal damage. If you fail, you take damage instead. Pretty easy. If you defeat the enemy, roll to see how many teeth you've knocked out. They're yours to keep now. Alternatively, you can choose to flee, but you'll take D4 damage when you do so. So you start at the village, and your defective goblin attention span means you won't sit still for long. When you enter a hex, resolve one of the actions described there, then dart off to the next. So you've got hats. It says, before embarking on your journey, you'll pick one of the hats. You've got the tin hat, the dirty hood, and the pointed hat. And it's cool that they kind of give you some different abilities here. The tin hat is, if an enemy rolls maximum damage, you take none instead. And the dirty hood is, it was once bright red, now a grimy rag. If the damage rolled when fleeing is 3 or 4, you slip away unscathed instead. And then the pointed hat, reserved only for goblins of great wisdom, have a peek at the contents of the secret page on pages 18 and 19. So, ooh, that's interesting. So obviously it's kind of keeping with the whole kind of fighter and rogue and kind of wizard right there. And then you've got advancement. When you acquire a crown fragment, remember you're trying to get 7 of those, you may immediately return to the goblin village and pick one of the following boons. You cannot pick the same boon twice. So you can increase your stabbiness by 1 and your health by d6. And then the other ones are, of course, going to be your sneakiness or your spelliness. When rolling for teeth, you may re-roll 1 die. So that's cool. You can pick that one. And you can pick 1 beast, 1 gnome, and 1 monster. From now on, they only deal half damage. And then from now on, all goblins address you as boss. So that's one of the things you can choose as well. After you retrieve the 7th fragment, you don the crown, become the new Goblin King, and win the game. You can only find 1 crown fragment per hex type. That's very important. So I like that. Then you've got your different weapons here. So some of them may give you a bonus to your stabbiness, and they're going to tell you how much damage they do. There's a mighty boom boom. There's a gnomish stabber on a stick. It's going to give you a +1 to attack. An enchanted stabber, and it's very neat. I think it's very thematic with its names and stuff. So as you can see, here's the art. I think it's just great, man. I think it's fun, and it just, I don't know, it's got a high quality about it. Deep in the heart of the woods lies a hidden village of crooked clay huts, and so this is going to be the goblin home right here. You can shop for different with your teeth that you've got. You can pick up some stuff here. Stinky potion tastes great and heals D4 health, or you can ask the matron for help. You can pass a 4 on your spelliness, and she's going to give you some help right there. She agrees to help you on your next test. Roll 2d6 and keep the higher of the 2. And if you fail, she's annoyed by your pitiful pleading. On your next test, roll 2d6 and keep the lower of the 2. So that's what you kind of do. You can go back there, you can buy some stuff, and ask the matron for help. Very cool. Then you go into the woods. They're full of ancient trees stretching skywards. And so what you're going to do is you're going to have to choose which way you go. And you know, starting off from the Goblin Village, do you want to head into the swamp? Do you want to go into the woods or travel along the road? Head straight to maybe the Wizard's Tower or the Gnomish Village. May not be a good idea. You may want to scout around a little bit in the woods or the road or the swamp, see if you can acquire some more items. But as you can see, there is going to be some interesting encounters to be had throughout them. So you wander the woods, roll d6 for an encounter. So let's just see what we get. I've rolled a 6. It says you encounter lost siblings wandering the woods. If you have pie, they shall follow you wherever you go. Otherwise, knock out 2d6 teeth before they scurry away. So you're going to bust out their teeth. I think that's pretty neat right there. So there's some interesting things where if you get items from other of the different encounters, and then you roll up these encounters, you may have the item that they need. And I think that's pretty clever. It definitely reminds me of kind of like the fighting fantasy books. I know they had those a bunch where if you got an item and held on to it, it would come into play sometime later on. So if we go onto the road, it's a wretched road. It carves the woods in two, the wicked work of evil gnomes. You try to cross the road. Roll d6 for an encounter. Let's see what we get. I got a 6 again. Bingo. D3 onions fell from a cart. That's pretty cool. I say we stay on the road. I get a 4. It says a deer hit by a reckless cart driver. You find 2d6 teeth. One more time. That's 4 again. We don't want that. 1. Uh-oh, you've been attacked by a low-level adventurer. So you say, uh-oh, where's that adventurer at? So if you come back here in the back, that's the secret page. You're not supposed to look at that. You've got all your enemies right here. You've got low-level adventurers. So their strength is 5. Remember, we've got to roll equal to or higher with stabbiness. They do d6 damage, and they have 7 health. So you roll a d4, so you will need some other polyhedral dice there to play this game. So maybe you'll roll up a warrior, rogue, wizard, or cleric, and it's going to alter how they attack you. And let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the monsters here. We've got beasts, gnomes, and monsters right there. So you've got notoriously mean goose, venomous snake, ferocious badger, rabid wolf. You're going to have a bunch of different types of gnomes, skeletons, swamp slime, and gargoyles. I think that's really cool, just how they look, and the whole vibe that it's going for right there is really neat. So you want to definitely reference these 2 pages right here for your enemies. So that's the woods and the road, and then we've got the gnomish village. At the edge of the forest where gilded grain fields sway under the sun lies the village of the vile gnomes. These cruel and heartless creatures sneer at goblin customs and way of life. And anyone who dares defy their so-called civilized laws is swiftly impaled on pitchforks. It's high time someone finally taught them a lesson. So you can engage in mischief. If you fail, you face a gnome villager. Each act of mischief can be performed only once. So you can pose as a tooth fairy and swindle the kids out of their teeth, and you have to pass a 3 spelliness. Or you can sneak off with a freshly baked pie. Those kids need it, remember? Steal a fisherman's fishing rod, hunt down and devour the village rooster to restore full health, or relieve yourself in the milk barrel. And it's going to do all sorts of stuff. You can plunder the mayor's chest. That's pretty interesting. And then you've got the swamp. The fertile swamp is rife with delicious foul smells and goblin delicacies. So you will notice that if you look through here, you can on some of these encounters here, you may find a crown fragment. And it could be something that's quite difficult for you to get. Such as here, when you plunder the mayor's chest, you have to follow these steps, and inside the chest at the end will be a crown fragment. So you're going to go, you've got to get all 7 of them. So I like the fact that it makes you have to go into the different type of hex types. So you can try to fish something out of the swamp, so that's neat. You can make rolls, maybe you fish out a skull, maybe a plump toad, you devour it to restore some health, or you can set it free. You've got the witch's hut here, cool art there. The battlefield, I like the way that looks with like the spirit going up. You can scour the battlefield for loot or visit the mound. You're going to have to make that choice. And I dig that. You get to make choices, make rolls, and go to the wizard's tower perhaps. You'll climb the tower. A lot of stuff as you go up and as you keep going up to the different levels of the tower. It says the tower has 5 floors. The wizard's chamber is at the very top. Within lies his treasure. So this is kind of a big section right here. When you reach the 5th floor, you find the wizard's treasure and the crown fragment within. So I dig it. So the wizard left his window open. It's so high up that only an enchanted rope will get you there. So again, really neat how some of the items you may find is going to take you to different places. So I dig it. It says, after rolling up any given floor, you may choose to return to the bottom. If you flee from a fight during your climb, you'll find yourself back at the bottom. If you find a hat on any floor, you can wear it, discarding your old one. So it says, to determine what's on floors 1 to 4, roll for a D46. Roll a D4 and a D6. Reroll duplicate results. If you leave the tower to return to a later time, you will have to reroll the floors. And that's how you're going to get all these different floors right here and things that you're going to find. So it could be stuff like a wonky shelf or a spinning blades, a pit trap, death glyph. There's a wizard's armory where you might find a tin hat, a laundry room. Over here, there could be a magical statue that comes to life as a gargoyle. Very neat. Then you've got the hidden deep in the woods is the entrance to a network of caves sprawling beneath the forest. You can explore the cave here. You're going to roll for the room shape, roll for exits, and roll for encounters. And then you've found treasure. Again, I like the art. And then here's your enemies here. There's the gargoyle right there. Has no teeth and stabs deal only half damage. So I dig it. I think that's really neat right there. Then the secret page, we can't look at that. That has to do with being, I believe, being very spelly. So there it is. That's Goblin. It's really neat. You're going to go through all these different places. Again, this is not an Oracle solo RPG. I think a lot of people think of that. Solo RPGs are going to have this Oracle. They're not like that all the time. There are fun games. It definitely gives me vibes of like fighting fantasy books or the Lone Wolf series. I dig it. I think that's really, really cool. I dig the art. I think the production value is on point. I'm anxious to see the other books to see how they're different compared to this hex crawl. But this is going to give you a lot of freedom, give you a lot of choices, and I think it's got just enough different types of encounters for you to do to be able to play this multiple times, or to play this maybe with someone, maybe someone that's new to role-playing games, a child, whatever. You can have a lot of fun with it. So there it is. Check out everything. I'll have the links down in the description for that Kickstarter when it comes in March. It's a shame we got to wait that long, but it's very cool that this is already done here to give us a kind of a sneak peek at what's to come with these adventures here. And we'll be getting those 3. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are too. Let me know what you think about this game. Do you play solo games like this? What do you think about the art? And just overall, I think it's a fun little game. So there it is, Goblin, and look for that Kickstarter, and try not to misbehave too much. Thanks.